Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the Indian Sport Chief. This is a new motorcycle by Indian that they just came out with, and basically, to put it simply, it's kind of a copy of the Lowrider ST. However, don't take that as an insult. I think it's uniquely Indian, while also kind of tapping into that market that's proven to be pretty popular. I mean, people are buying the ST, obviously. So if it works, right, why wouldn't you do it? So basically what they've gone for is, and this is all going to sound very familiar, but they've got a little, quarter fairing, kind of like this bike has. Kind of like the ST, sorry, the Lowrider S has, not the ST. Although the fairing's bigger than an S, so it's almost kind of a blend between the two, which is a little interesting. Where are we going here, friend? We getting gas, or what do we do? It's inverted front forks, like an S. It has Fox remote reservoir rear shocks, and it has dual external rear shocks. So in that sense, it's a little bit more Dyna Lowrider Sport-esque instead of ST, or at Lowrider S. Softail Lowrider S. However, I believe the Thunderstrokes are solid mount motors, not rubber mounted. So in that sense, it's really more like the Softail chassis. The frame has some very FXR-ish triangulation under the seat, which that's just the Chief frame in general. I think they might have exposed it a little bit more, kind of, sort of. I don't know. The Scout or the Chief Bobber or whatever is relatively similar. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd even go that far, but yeah, no, it's a good looking setup, really. I went on poked around on the website. So the Thunderstroke 116, which I think is the coolest name for a motor ever. The Thunderstroke 116. Anyway, it's 120 torque. They advertise it as, and they're doing the same thing Harley does and not putting horsepower numbers on it. Although Harley did recently put horsepower numbers on like the new Breakout or something weird, which I thought was kind of interesting. That of all bikes, pick your horsepower numbers to put on it. But yeah, so kind of interesting. A Milwaukee 8, a 117-inch Milwaukee 8, so roughly the same size motor. I think they bill at 120 torque as well, crank. And in real life, you get about 100. With an exhaust, you get about 100, I think. Wheel, horse, and torque, something like that, give or take. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so I don't know. They're really gunning after Harley. And do I think the bike will be successful? Heck yeah, I do. I want to ride one really badly because the ST is a great bike, or the S is a great bike. Sorry guys, I keep saying the ST, but same difference for argument's sake here. But the S is a great bike, and I imagine that will be too. I really like the FTR. Where are you going, my man? I really like the FTR Indian. Honestly, the Scouts don't do it for me because they need to make like a sport model. I really want like a sportier Scout, and then I think they would do it for me. Which, with this Chief Sport coming out, maybe they'll make a Scout Sport. That'd be awesome. Put the little fairing on. I do like what I did on my bike, kind of thing. This style is finally taking off. I feel very gratified. I've been riding bikes like this for, the sportier sport cruiser Harleys for freaking years now. It's nice to see that people are appreciating them. And the OEMs are appreciating them. Obviously, the aftermarket's appreciated them for years now, too. But back when I first bought this bike, it wasn't nearly as common. Like, that was 12 years ago. You just didn't see bikes set up this way quite as often. Now they're kind of everywhere, but I think for good reason. It's the best, most functional way to have a cruiser, I think. Comfortable and sporty. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic. So the Sport Chief, ground clearance, they did say it's higher. Again, I couldn't find specs for some of that stuff. You get the right away, my guy. I couldn't find specs for some of that stuff. So I'm not really sure if the ground clearance is more or less than like an S, or the cornering clearance is more or less than an S. Not really sure. But regardless, I think it's going to be competitive enough, and the aftermarket will come in. I'm sure Legends and all those guys and Olin's will make suspension, and you'll be able to jack them up further if you need to, and all that kind of stuff. As long as they make some good aftermarket seats. I'm just assuming, I don't know, the stock seat's probably not that comfortable. I just go off the assumption all stock seats aren't comfortable. So as long as you can get a good comfortable seat on it, unless the stock one is, the bars seem to be in a better position than the S. My biggest complaint of the Lowrider S is that the bars are kind of low in my opinion, and like the rider triangles, it's just like slightly weird. It's not terrible, but the controls are like the mid pegs on my bike, your knee has an ever so slight back bend, at least if you're taller. On those, my knee had a slight forward bend, which was okay, but combined with where the bars were, I felt like really hunched over. I don't know. That bike would be fine if you just brought the bars back and up. But it looks like the Sport Chief already has that, the bars backing up. So I think that's a really good benefit to it. So yeah, I think it has a lot of good potential. And then I don't know, somebody will know in the comments, but does the 1/16 Thunderstroke with an exhaust, intake tune, whatever, kind of just without cracking into the motor, can you make more power than the Milwaukee 8? That might be a nice selling point, right? If you buy that bike, throw your exhaust on it and tune it, and you're making more power than your Harley buddies, I think that'd be pretty awesome. The one thing I will say, oh man, I don't remember now, but I think it was like 20 grand. So it was like closer to the ST in price than it was to the S, but like we talked about, kind of more has the features of the S. So that was kind of my only thing. It was a little bit expensive maybe, compared to the Harley, which is kind of a weird thing to say, I guess, but that was the only thing I noticed. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know the Lowrider S and ST out the door pricing super well with all the fees and Indians, so don't like hold me to it on the price. They're all pretty competitively priced. I just think it was a couple $1,000s more. And is it a couple $1,000s more bike? Well, you be the judge of that. I'd have to ride it to see, but I'm thinking probably not. They're probably very close. It's just my guess because I haven't ridden it yet, so don't hate me. But hopefully I can ride one this year at Americade or something that's coming up relatively soon, 3 months or so. So get on one of those, see how it feels, and then I'll kind of compare that to the S that I rode. Maybe I'll try to ride an S back to back. I'd love to ride an S again. I'd also love to get these bikes outside of that event and just really put some miles on them. But I don't have a nearly big enough YouTube channel for that. So we'll have to work on that at some point. But for now, we're gonna do what we can do with the resources we have. So what else can I say about it? Oh, it comes with Pirelli Night Dragons. That's kind of cool. They're a real good tire from what I hear. And even obviously tires are easy to swap out and put whatever you want on, but it's just nice to know that they're really thinking about true performance cruising. It's not some vehicle that's supposed to look that way. It sounds like they actually did some engineering on it and put the right parts on it, and somebody somewhere rode it around a curvy road and said, oh, this actually handles well, right? So that's kind of what I'm hoping anyway. And like I said, I believe the Thunderstroke's hard mounted in the frame. So that just stiffens everything up, just like the new Softail Harley frames. They're a lot stiffer. No dyno wobbles anymore, no Sportster wobbles. That's a thing too, people. Rubber mounted motors, I'll always have a soft spot for them because this bike has one. The FXRs had them and they handled well and everything else. I'm not trying to poo-poo them, but let's just be honest, guys. A hard mounted motor that's balanced it's just better tech. It's just the better way to go for handling and performance. There's a reason sport bikes don't have rubber mounted motors, right? So bringing some of that technology into these cruiser motorcycles while also retaining, I think, really good looks. I think that Scout, or I keep saying that, the Sport Chief has really good looks, as well as the Lowrider S and ST. I think they both have really good looks. And I know, Dyna Bros, Rubber Mount Bros, you're sad because they look different and the area under the seat looks different and blah, blah, blah. Listen, I get it. When I heard they were discontinuing the Dyna, and I'm not even a Dyna fan, when I heard they were discontinuing the Dyna, it like punched me in the heart a little bit. So don't take that lightly, but I do think it was the right decision, personally speaking. These new bikes they're just better. So That's just my opinion, one man's opinion. And I've ridden quite a few Dynas. Never owned one, but I've ridden quite a few of them. Set up all stock to pretty wild, so I got a good feel for them. But now we're getting real off on a tangent. So anyway, guys, those are kind of my preliminary thoughts on the Sport Chief. I think Indian's doing good stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they come out with in the future beyond this, because the FCR and this bike now, they're starting to really work that performance angle. And Harley, little by little, is working the performance angle with the Sportster S and the Lowrider ST, and even like the Road Glide ST is a little bit performance oriented and stuff like that. So hopefully these companies start to build that into their lineups. I think there's a market for it, and I think they both were performance companies back in the day. Indian and Harley raced each other, right? They were kind of 1 and 2 in the racing scene for a lot of years. So hey, why can't we get back to that? They've had a lot of dead zones in the middle. Indian didn't exist. Harley just made a lot of cruisers, pure cruisers, let's call it. But I think there's room to come back to that realm. Whether or not they come out, Harley comes out with the Bronx, which they talked about, that kind of sport bike, naked bike thing. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe a Sportster S, SS, or something even sportier. I don't know. Better riding position. But regardless, there's some options coming along, and I think we're in a weird lull. Not lull, but we're at the start of something new, and we got to hang tight, because I know Harley's kind of been coming out with some different bikes lately, and it's just going to take some time for them to lead them into the lineup, figure out what works as far as design elements and just kind of performance-wise, what people want nowadays. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. God bless America, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.